Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays offside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells.
Hello, welcome to this Gull'S Eye View. It's a little bit of kind of a less happy episode now. It's been for a while, for obvious reasons. I'm joined by Tom,
Hello, lads.
joined by Clive.
Hi, Sam.
So, well, first of all, we have a few things I'd like to get out of the way actually before we go into Saturday. Obviously, a big thank you. Since a long time ago now, but a big thank you to everyone who made last week possible. It was a really nice evening for us. The club, Paul, what an amazing. Just everything was brilliant and all your nice comments. That does seem a long time ago now, doesn't it? I mean, we're probably going to be a curse. So I doubt we'll be allowed to deal with them again. Also,
Blame us. It's not our fault.
also, yeah, it's far from our fault. Also, I'd like to just get out there. Congratulations to Bishop's Cleeve, because we're going to be ranting about Torquay a lot, and it's going to be very easy to actually not say well done. Well done on that's football. That is football. If you don't respect things, I'll let you two go into it in a minute. I'll say something from me now. Football wasn't my priority this weekend, and so I wasn't there, and there's different things going on. But from an outsider's point of view, I think it's just a warning. I still have full faith in this bunch of players, and I do think we need a couple of recruits, which we'll move to later. And it's not all lose all hope of everything and all the good work, but there's a few points I'd say. Obviously, we all know how much of a huge potential income and money that we've completely lost now for the season from what could have been an FA Cup run. And just the kind of that football's never guaranteed, the results never guaranteed, is it, when you turn up as a fan? But football's a big escape for football fans, and as a footballer, I know they know it. But just as a reminder, just in case it slipped out of their minds at Saturday, it's a privilege to play for a football team, especially someone like Torquay United, when there's a lot of work, especially now off the pitch, by the owners, by everyone, by all fans around it as well. Don't you ever turn up for a Torquay United game with what I've heard is the most disgusting, embarrassing, just lack of anything again. Now, we've seen this sort of performance many a time in the last couple of years. Make sure the difference going forward is that you don't just sit about and sulk about it for the rest of it. You get on and you prove to us now for the rest of the season. You basically make that a memory that goes away very quickly. And there's a lot of things that need to be discussed and improved, especially away from home. Mentality needs to improve there. And that's up to a lot of the players and everyone to work out what they want to do, So anyway, we'll go into a bit more. So as I say, I wasn't there, fortunately. But it's equally as painful in a way. Well done to all the Torquay United fans that went. Tom, go on a bit about the day.
Well, who would have thought, Clive, that the train journeys that we encountered were actually probably the best part of the day for us there. Again, I think it's firstly very important to say congratulations to Bishop's Cleeve. Absolutely deserved the result. I think if it was 5 or 6-0, I think that probably would have been a fairer reflection on the game. Their hospitality was absolutely fantastic. Their food offerings were really good. Plenty of beer to be had. And it just had all the hallmarks for a really good day in the FA Cup for them. They averaged about 80, 90, and there was over 1,000 there. And it just had the sense about it that, the shot was there. And had a nice chat with Paul Wharton for about 10 minutes at about 1:15. I made the assumption that the team were already there, but he was focused. He was ready for the game. He knew it was going to be difficult. And then it comes to light that the team haven't arrived until 10 past, 2:15.
This happened at Bath as well, didn't it?
And that set the tone, really, because you went in thinking, right, they're going to be up for this now more so than what they had before, because we're not going to be ready. The warm-ups were lethargic. Wharton sounded furious, and I guess to an extent I don't know whether that maybe was a reason why we didn't turn up. You've got to. It's not an excuse. I want to put it on the record there. It's not an excuse. It is not an excuse. We should have had enough. Bishop Stortford. We should have had enough to beat Bishop's Cleeve, regardless. But you've got to go in with a bit of sense of calmness about you, and I just didn't feel that. As soon as they arrived, it just felt everything was a bit panic. and the mood wasn't quite right. And unfortunately, it just from kickoff, we were just second best to everything. It was an embarrassment to the supporters. It was an embarrassment to the football club, and just the mistake from Moxie for the first goal. It's a poor wayward header. Um, and we just never recovered. We never recovered. Ash and Seymour offered naff all up front, but to be fair to them, we were just lumping it forward times and they were struggling to get on the end. Um, we had one or two moments and you go in at half time. I wouldn't want to have been a player in that dressing room. It sounded like, I think Matty, Clive might know a bit more, but apparently it sounded quite lively in the dressing room. And you think, right, second half, they've had a
There was no
bollocking.
reaction, was there? There was
No,
no
none at
reaction
all.
at all.
You expected a bit more from us in the second half. They get the second goal, then they get the third goal, and it's game over. And the last half an hour is just a waste of time. But fair credit again to Bishop's Cleeve. We all, they were professional from the outset. We weren't in the right, mindset, but that's unacceptable. And unfortunately for us, because we're one of the biggest clubs at this stage of the competition, it garners attraction across social media, and they're rightly milking it up. And I look at the draw today. They've got a home tie against Chesham.
Yeah.
Chesham. I mean, that's winnable, isn't it? For our, you'd like to think if we were in that position, that's a winnable tie. As you've said, Sam, that's revenue thrown down the toilet. It's an embarrassment. And whilst I agree and respect Paul Watton for coming over, apologising and being so open and upfront, I do feel that he does need to shoulder some of the responsibility on that performance as well. Ultimately, he is the manager. And, he said to us on Tuesday night that, the players look sharp. But then he said in this post-match interview that they've been lethargic all week. They haven't looked up to it all week. So I don't know what's happened there. But ultimately, he's the manager and he's got to get the best out of that team. And I really hope this is just a one-off performance where things have gone against us, turning up late, and maybe that had an impact. But again, I don't want to use that as an excuse. We should have won the game. We should have put in a professional enough performance in front of a large turnout again, and safety got through to the next round. But that is the magic of the FA Cup, isn't it? At the end of the day, we've done it to others, and unfortunately, Bishop's Cleeve did it to us. But I really hope they can get to the first round proper. Fantastic little club. I mean that with the utmost respect, and hopefully they get some money out of it. But I think that was the thing for me. I wasn't angry. I was more disappointed with the fact that we have thrown away a fantastic opportunity at generating extra income. And I know the Bryn Consortium with their business background will feel the same as well.
Yeah, I remember Clive said, we spoke about it a couple of years ago, you always budget for going out the first round of every cup. But I mean, come on, that's horrendous. Clive, what are you thinking?
Okay. I'm wearing last season's shirt tonight. I don't like it. I bought it out of sympathy when we were going to go into administration. I thought, let's give the club 45 quid. I don't like the shirt, but I've worn it just to remember how bad last season was. That performance on Saturday, unfortunately, was the equal of anything we saw last season. It was really, really bad, and the players need to take a very long, hard look at themselves. I think, if anything, it probably showed us that the squad might not be quite as deep as we think it is, because we've been kidding ourselves that we got 2 players for every position. Didn't look like that to me on Saturday at all. I'm fed up of people making excuses for Seymour and Ash up front, I'm afraid. They didn't get much service, but apart from running around a lot, I'm not convinced there's been much coming from Seymour yet this season. So the jury's well and truly out on
Found him very weak, Clive, off the ball as well. Like every time a defender got there, nudged him off the ball.
It's not going to be his strength, but you probably want better than that. Bishop's Cleeve, we've all said it, but they were magnificent. They were a lot better than I thought they were going to be. I'll say that. And I think if they play like that on Saturday, they'll probably beat Chesham. I'd give them that amount of credit. So fair play to them. They played the conditions. They played their own pitch, and they played us off it, quite honestly. We were lucky to be 1-0 down at half time, and that was the opportunity to get a grip on it. And, even if it was only get a replay and slink out of Gloucestershire with our tails between our legs, that would have been better than the surrender that we saw in the second half. I feel desperately sorry for Paul Watton. They are his players, and I'm wondering now whether there's a little bit of buyer's remorse going on, because you find out about people in games like that, and that was a very worrying performance. I mean, objectively, it's the worst FA Cup performance of our professional lives, because we've never lost to a team that far down the pyramid before. I usually, when we've lost on a Saturday, I'm absolutely recovered by Monday. I don't think that's the case today, because the repercussions of that are quite long lasting, because it means that in a fortnight we've got no game, where we're expecting another easy FA Cup title win, and get ourselves into the fourth qualifying round when the National League clubs arrive. But that's been pissed away. And yeah, it was a dreadful day, I'm afraid. Massive respect to the opposition, who are clearly a good team and played out of their skins, but we've got to be better than that, haven't we?
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
I totally agree. It's just well summed up, you two.
Do you think maybe Crosby should have had a start? I felt like I was a bit surprised to see him not start, considering he was playing I know he was playing a level below last season, but I felt that was an opportunity for him to break out, or at least, you know, have an opportunity to show what he's about. I mean, he's played on plenty of those, you know, 4G, 3G pitches, because by the time he came on, the game was lost already. And I felt a bit sorry for him.
Yeah, he did. Yes, that's right. Whether the counter argument to that is to say that it was a good opportunity for Seymour to stretch his legs and score some goals against lower league opposition. Pays your money, takes your choice, I guess. The manager picked the team. He was obviously happy with it, because he had 24 hours to think about who was going to play up front, given Cody Cook's arrival. And congratulations to him and his partner for that. There are more important things in football, and that's one of them. So yeah, congratulations, Cody. I don't know if it's your first one, but I'm sure you'll have your hands full now for a few weeks. Yeah, I don't know if I've got much else to say. I was kind of pleased with Paul's reaction after the game, although my heart went out to him, because it had obviously stunned him. I mean, he was in shock, I think. The trouble is, you don't get many of them in a season before the fans are going to start asking very sort of pointed questions. Let's hope it was a one-off. Let's hope the players who let themselves down do learn from it and never repeat that. Let's hope that the three lads who were unfit on Saturday can come in and make a difference. And let's hope, frankly, that we have a look in the loan market and see if we can strengthen the squad a bit.
I just don't understand why the lads aren't listening to Watton. Obviously, he said in his post-match interview, didn't he, that he wanted them to play a certain way, and they didn't. They just played their own way, and it's not the first time. I think Welling was kind of similar as well in that respect. You know, it's a bad week when we've conceded 5, scored none. I think it's just clear that maybe our squad depth isn't as deep as we thought it was going to be. However, again, you know, not to discredit Bishop's Cleeve, but we should be winning those games, FA Cup or not. We should find a way to, you know, to at least score a couple there. We just didn't look anywhere at it, and I think you know, if we win on Saturday, then you can forgive, you know, the FA Cup result. But what I will say is, we weren't the only National League South club to go out of the second qualifying round. Dorking went out, Hampton went out, a couple of others went out, I believe. So
it does happen, but it's never acceptable.
Does happen, and
it's never acceptable.
Just because we're a big club at this level, it just means we garner a bit more of that attention than, say, the other clubs.
It is a wake-up call to how big a rebuild job this sort of club has to go through, really.
And it's fair to say, fair to say, though, you know, it's that old cliche, at least we can focus on the league. But we've still had a relatively good start to this season. And the important thing for us now is to make sure that this one result doesn't define how we go forward. And if we can get a win on Saturday against St Albans, then I think that will go a long way to a lot of the Yellow Army being able to
in a way
shambles.
I hope in a way it does define the fact, I know what you meant, but define the way that we go, right, we kick on now. Because there's many football seasons and many times when they have an absolute disastrous low and you go, crikey, I'm a lot lower back and this is a lot more vulnerable than I realised. I'm going to actually act on that, talk about maybe a couple of loans or something. But I think in terms of like the structural sides, again, I wasn't there. Without Cody Kirk, two strikers are wasted for me because we don't get them the service or we don't get them on the ball. And if they are on the ball, maybe we're not doing
They
quite
had
enough.
three absolute monsters at the back. They had two really big lads, and then a guy who was the size of Cleeve Hill. He must have been 6'8", the left-sided centre back for them. And I mean, playing balls in at chest height to wee little 5'8", 5'10" strikers against that is ridiculous.
It's just football intelligence.
The wind was blowing as we were told it would up there. It's quite exposed. It was blowing to the backs of the centre halves in the first half. That enabled them to just knock the ball over the top as they pleased and catch us out at the back. Nobody had a good game at the back, by the way. Palmer's had some good games, and we've blown an awful lot of smoke up Dreyer as well. But he was as culpable as everybody else.
Just needed a bit of a change, honestly. Like I'm not
just shocking.
I'm not
they all had a shocker. They had a collective mare.
I'm not a tactical genius or anything like that. But just at times when Cody Cook's not there and there are two up front as well, just go to 4-3-3 or something. Just win that midfield. Get into the game and win the midfield and show the quality. Like with problems with 3-5-2, I get it, and I'm always tired meant to work. But if the opposition works out and pins back the sort of Carson and everyone on the two wide players, you're done. It needs to be those couple of players at 4-3-3, win that central midfield, and then you can triangle it easily. Go to the left back, goes to the left centre mid, goes into the left winger, goes left striker. It just makes it easier. Or a 4-2-3-1, so you've got someone playing off a striker, just unlike Musa or Hassan. Just switch to something, that maybe it's not just formation. It's so much bigger than formation. There's no point playing two strikers if you're going to give them nothing, absolutely nothing all game. Or they're not the strikers where they can make something out of nothing and run into the wide areas and get the ball and cross the other one. I think at times you just got a bit more basic, and I just want to see more quality. I want to see a bit more just ideas from that point of view. But and you have to say, as shocking as it was, and I totally agree with Clive. I feel, and of course, Elks that we obviously interviewed him last week. I feel for Paul Watson anyway, but in the day, everyone's responsible because you've got to motivate your players. Something's got to change there. A lot of hard conversations where it needs to be. I'm not in the dressing room. Going back the other way, where players actually, one thing's the manager going, that was terrible, but the players have got to go, right, lads, that was terrible, to each other, and then work out from there. Just manager walks out 20 minutes, let them deal with it, and then really see people. I'm convinced there's some characters in this team, but this is where it needs to, really, really don't go missing. For God's sake, just don't go missing. As your career be if it's at the start, be very, very short.
Well, I'm trying to be level-headed about this, and I have had 48 hours to think about it, but if Paul Watson was to make an example of one or two of them from Saturday, that'd be no hardship to me at all. I don't know what his management style is. I imagine he shouts at them quite a lot, and I imagine that he puts his arm around them sometimes. I don't know that putting arms around people for that performance would be appropriate, to be honest.
No, not at all. It's disgusting.
I would not like to be any of those players today training. I bet it was I bet he made them run. They deserve to walk back to bloody Torquay, let alone get on a nice Plymouth Argyle coach back.
Which was
I just trained, didn't they? They deserve to be on the same shit trains as we were.
Bloody hell! Didn't get back. I know. Got back home at 1 o'clock in the morning. Woke up at 6 and didn't get back till quarter to midnight because the trains were all delayed. It was a bloody nightmare. But that just summed up the day. I don't know. It's the first time this season that they've really let the fans down. We've had all this good goodwill for the start of the season. Yes, we've had a couple of defeats, but at least we've been competitive. But that Paul Watton said when he, first signed that the players, every single Torquay United player is going to give 100% to the football club. Well, I'm
That's
sorry,
awesome,
Paul,
they
but
didn't.
they
Yeah.
didn't do that on Saturday, and quite frankly, it was a disgrace.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
know
just
that there was a lack of effort, and in some ways that's a bit more worrying as well. I don't think any of them chucked it. I just think
they
on
just
that
didn't know what to do.
afternoon they were nowhere near good enough.
They just
Did
didn't
they?
know what
Did
to
you?
do.
Do you think they went in thinking this would be easy, Clive? Do you think they thought, oh, we'll
Don't
walk over
know,
these lot?
possibly. I'm not sure that the late arrival of the team bus is a huge explanation. I
It's
mean,
not an excuse.
No.
well, it
not
is an excuse. That's exactly what it is, and it's an excuse. But I don't
Yeah.
think it's justified.
But
because
that needs to be sorted.
long do
That
you-
needs to be sorted. We're a professional football
it
club
happens
now.
though. It happens. I
This
mean,
happened twice
if you
already.
set off from
They set off at 11,
Torquay to go
apparently.
to Cheltenham, if you set off at 10 o'clock, there should actually be plenty of time. But it happens.
Set off at 9.
Traffic
Set off
jams
at
happen.
9.
But apparently they
I've
were still
got
in
terrible
Torquay by
time-
11 o'clock. They
I've
didn't leave
got
till about 11.
terrible time management at times in my life, and I would not leave at bloody 11 if I was, I'm not even that stupid. Like, come on, it's just pathetic. You've got to live every day like you can and get as much out of your setup.
Yeah.
Mm.
But
And when you're
the
just
point
peeing
I'm
around like
making
that,
is that
no,
it
I'm
does
not having that.
happen. I mean,
course it does,
in
yeah.
any given season, a team is going to arrive quite late at a ground on a couple of occasions. That's not a reason to put out the worst performance you can possibly imagine. I'm sorry, I'm not having that.
And
No.
we have to be very careful as quickly all of us start saying it and all the players think it. We're going to have a bad away problem away from home. And it should be easier away from home in a way because we just go in, settle the nerves and take control of the game for 5 minutes. And then the opposition home fans sink into it. The away fans come in. Yeah. They don't have the pressure to play more.
And we had no excuse. We had a full week free of training, to train and prepare. It's not like we had a game week as well.
I always think that's worse. I know you're physically more. It's all a lot of it's up here. I think match sharpness and if you're just sulking about Welling all week.
And we talk about losing to part-time teams, throughout our history in recent years. But those guys would have been at the normal day-to-day jobs and then coming in doing 1 or 2 days of training. Again, it's the biggest game in their history. Like they've opened up and said it's the biggest game. It's their biggest win, and they've got every right to.
I get fed up of at
enjoy
times when I hear Torquay and all those other teams full time. Of course, it helps. It means nothing if you're just sulking all week in training and you're not making a mess of it, and you're not the right person on the day. If you're training once, twice a week, and you're the right person on the day, much better. It means nothing. It means nothing at times. It means nothing. Honestly, sick of it. If you walk in full time, I'm a full time footballer, and then you put a performance like that, you won't be full time for long.
No.
Let me tell
Right,
you
lads, we've had 25 minutes of this now. I reckon that's enough, innit?
Yeah, I never want to talk about this game again.
No, I'm happy with that. I am now going to try and have a bit of aversion therapy or whatever. I'm going to go and watch the youth team in the FA Cup. So
nice. I hope they turn up.
Best of luck with them against Salt Ash. It's another
and
game.
We're going to do Kelly's. We're going to do Kelly's corner as well, very quickly.
Yep.
Absolutely, crack on.
So go on then. Go on, Tom. Are you ready? So I wonder what we asked this week.
Well, thank you to everyone who wrote in once again. Kelly's corner question this week: after defeats to Welling and Bishop's Cleeve, do United need to strengthen their squad? And if so, which position would you prioritise? Couple of responses, both on Facebook and Twitter. So I'll quickly start on Twitter first. Alan Wills, good evening, Alan. He says a pacey, goal-scoring, box-to-box midfielder. Paul Mahern says a striker and creative central midfielder, possibly another left wing back as well, or Carson will burn out very quickly.
Yeah,
we've got Ollie, central midfielder who has pace in midfield and a proper goal scorer. So many sitters missed already this season. Craig Hughes says, yep, we need a target man if we're going to lump the ball forward often. From what he believes, there is some loan deals on the horizon. And Kevin Kirby says that we need a new goalkeeper. I think that's a bit harsh on Haven. I think he's been all right.
We do need 2 keepers, though, in fairness.
We certainly do.
Well, we've had Harry Lee training with us on match days, haven't we? So
and a couple.
There's an agreement there.
And a couple on Facebook. So Sam Cook says an experienced loan signing or free agent would help. There's a lot of talent in the squad. You just need somebody who's been there and done it. He thinks another body in centre midfield is needed. Harry Locke says we need wingers to give us the option of a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. And Ben England says, definitely need a winger to give us the ability to change formation if the 5-3-2 isn't working, and maybe an extra body in midfield.
Are we missing? Are we missing the main thing here? We want to play 3 at the back. Moxie is struggling. Tomlinson is not trusted, and Booth possibly isn't at the club anymore.
He's not, can't
so out of that enormous roster of centre halves early season,
Dyer's injured still.
Dyer's injured, exactly. Falston's injured, and they were playing like strangers on Saturday. Partly, I think, because they weren't talking properly. Do we not need somebody just a bit grizzled who's going to tell them what to do?
For a month, yeah, or 2.
Well, you think that'd be someone like Oscar or Dino, but
I mean, it didn't end well, but it started brilliantly. Mark Ellis was the example. We had it, and that did work short term for us a couple of years ago. I'd be looking for an experienced centre back, but they don't grow on trees, obviously.
No. And they cost money as well. I think we need a bit of pace in this team. It's something we've been crying out for.
Just a bit of excitement. Yeah,
Moose is not doing it for me, I'm afraid. I thought if he was going to stand out, he would have done it on Saturday.
I was defending him a lot at the start, but he did
get a bit of stick. He did apologise for giving the ball away on a couple of occasions, but we all know there's something there. But how much longer do you leave the excuse of, well, he's still getting fitness, or if he can't do it at Bishop's Cleeve?
I like him, and he didn't hide. He didn't hide on Saturday. He wanted the ball.
No, I have a lot of strength for his character, but he does just need to show more. Thank you very much, everyone who wrote in. It was a difficult week. Appreciate that. And again,
only a game of football, boys. Come on.
Yeah, plenty more to worry about than that at times. So,
St Albans on Saturday, or is it too early to predict?
I've got to do it. So we'll win 2-1.
We'll get a reaction 4-0, but it won't erase the stain of Saturday, I'm afraid.
Until we win like a couple games, especially away from home, that's when it might start to go away a little bit. We might hopefully look at this and go, yeah, that's when we kickstarted. Tom?
Yeah, I think 3-1 in front of over 3,000. It's important that the Yellow Army don't lose faith. It's one very poor result, but bigger picture, focus back on the league. We've had a decent start, ahead of Boreham Wood, ahead of Dorking. I would have taken that this early in the season. So win on Saturday, and that should hopefully erase most of the memories of that shambolic show on Saturday.
And yes, final good luck to Bishop Cleeve. You clearly deserve that, and good luck for the rest of your season and your FA Cup run. Thank you two for joining me.
Thanks, mate. Always a joy.
Yeah, enjoy the Youth Cup game tonight, Clive, and we'll see you all next week.
Here's Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells.